defendant allowed to make whatever defense they want? I mean, why couldn't the former president argue, well, I think the Presidential Records Act applies here, even if it doesn't?
Because it doesn't. You know, you can't bring defenses that have absolutely no grounding in the law, right? I mean, I killed someone, and I had a right to kill that someone because I'm the Messiah. I mean, there's a limit, and most judges will basically, cabin what they can say. This offers the possibility that this trial is going to be wide open, and she's going to not control it at all.
David, I want to read another portion of the judge's order declining to dismiss the indictment. She said, the counts make no reference to the Presidential Records Act, nor do they rely on that statute for purposes of stating an offense. What do you make of the argument that she is making?
Well, I think, she did this, made it look like it's strictly a legal issue. And I think she's kind of hedging a little bit, leaving the door open for Trump to follow up on what the judge said, to follow up on what she said is it's kind of like a factual defense for him to assert that, well, I thought I was covered by the Presidential Records Act. And one of the problems with that is, number one, she could rule that inadmissible, but number two, essentially to do that, I think you'd have to testify, which she ain't gonna do. Mm-hmm. So I'm not quite sure what the design was behind the ruling. It's a bit mysterious.
Jessica, what do you think Jack Smith's next move is then?
Well, this has to be incredibly frustrating to him because, as the judge was saying, this is an issue of law that the judge should have decided. And so I think the next...
So she could have decided, okay, no one's talking about the Presidential Records Act.
She should rule that it's not relevant in the context of this case. She doesn't seem to be willing to do that, and this is part of a pattern of her not only being delayed in issuing decisions, but when she does issue what looks like a decision, it's actually not a committal decision, and she essentially kicks it down the road and saying, well, the dismissal is without prejudice to bringing it back later in the case. Here, the real risk is that she's not going to issue a definitive statement or ruling on whether she's going to instruct the jury on the application of the Presidential Records Act until we get to the point where the jury's been impaneled and jeopardy would attach. And that's a really dangerous point for the special counsel to be at because once jeopardy attaches, there's going to be a real risk that he's not going to be able to try this case because he's not going to be able to perhaps get her reversed by the 11th Circuit in time, and he wouldn't be able to retry it because of double jeopardy. So he's trying to avoid being in that situation where the jury's already impaneled, and that's when he finds out how she's going to instruct the jury.
So, Judge Gerger, can you wrap your head around the former president defending Judge Cannon in the social media post earlier today because she ruled against him, saying Jack Smith had somehow treated her terribly and that he should be sanctioned, all while Trump himself attacks other judges and prosecutors and in some instances their family. I mean, it seems like this is the only judge he doesn't attack.
Well, of course it's the only judge he doesn't attack, but step back for a moment. The way he has attacked other judges is not in terms of their particular decisions. They didn't rule on this, they didn't rule on that. It is sort of ad hominem attacks against the judges before they have even opened their mouth. They're Trump haters. With Judge Cannon, he's basically, not saying anything, and he's attacking Jack Smith as deranged. The notion that human beings are even spending time on this is extraordinary. I mean, what he's saying makes absolutely no sense. Certainly, Jack Smith's latest filing was much more pointed. There's no basis whatsoever to the Presidential Records Act, he was saying, and make a decision so that we can appeal. And it was a pointed filing, much less pointed than I've seen in my career as a judge. But that's what he needs to do because otherwise, really, this trial, if and when it takes place, will be chaos, just chaos.
David, what stops it from being chaos? I mean, if it's going down this road.
Your guess is as good as mine. It's really hard. She hasn't put any structure here. She hasn't really, you need to establish who's running the courtroom. And she hasn't done that yet. And in fact, inviting the parties to do jury charges at this stage, that's like asking them, can you please give me the law for dummies or Cliff's Notes on the law? Because I don't know what it is. Maybe you can help me figure it out. And so I think that whole package is just kind of sets a tone, and he sees an opportunity there of buttering her up. The other judges, he's gone after them before they even ruled on stuff, but his expectation is that they're going to be against me. His expectation here, clearly, and it seems to be coming to fruit, is that she's going to be really good for him, so why not keep buttering her up?
And he goes to all of the hearings in front of her, or most of them.
She does seem to have a very hard time ruling against him in any definitive way. I have no insight into exactly what's motivating those decisions, but his presence certainly is, I think, something he sees as a strategy in all of his cases, actually, to be there, perhaps for political reasons, but also to be communicating how much he cares and perhaps intimidating.
Jessica Roth, thank you. David Kelly as well. Good to have you on. And Judge Gardner, always thank you. The next breaking news out of Israel after a day that saw the Biden administration warn Israel that American support and hands and how civilians in Gaza are treated. We have 2 live reports. And later, surprisingly, presidential polling from a key swing state, Pennsylvania, and the central role Latino voters might play there in the outcome.
This is the big dance. It's great to be here.
The music, the magic, the madness. It's time to dance.
So this is Paul Beckman, Paul Amble song. I don't know if you can see me here or not. I don't know. But anyway, let's turn on a light so you can see me better, if you can see me at all. Let's call this song Trump's modus operandi for being there. Each hearing of hers is to intimidate her. I think. I have no guitar, no ukulele with me, so this is going to be a cappella. I'm in the hospital, trying to heal myself of diverticulitis again, and possible bladder infection, possible blood infection. We'll see if I go home soon, or I'm going to be here for a little bit. I gotta keep making money if I can, somehow, so I can pay my bills and rent, however. Please God, let me heal quick. So anyway, here we go. I believe Trump's modus operandi is to be there to intimidate the judge that he put into her social position, to intimidate her by being at all her hearings, so she won't be doing what she ought to do. Instead, she'll be doing what he wants her to do. He'll be there to intimidate her. You know what I mean? Intimidate her. Yeah, I think that's what his modus operandi is. Trump has a backing in moral principles too that he's not lacking. He wants to intimidate the judge that he got elected to do the right thing by him, and that's to instead of siding with Smith, to go ahead and side with him. However, I think that's wrong, because she's acting like a clown, and just being a clown clone of Trump's from now on, and the whole world will see it too, and realize that she lacks audacity to go ahead and be real and relax. Instead, she's catering to Trump's mirroring of intimidation and lies and twisted truth. There you go. What else need be said? And casting justice out on the street corner, dumbed up, with no real teeth to do anything at all, but be duped by Trump's team of liars and cheats. Now let's turn this off if we can. I guess I'll have to pick up the phone and stir up the pot. If it even recorded at all. Yeah, it did. I'll have to review it and see how it turned out.